Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Oh, I'm on vacation. Well, then what the hell am I doing here? Well, because we've got important matters that we have to talk about today, developing things. It's a big day. So, as the great Bill Belichick says, no days off. No days off. Right? Nick Geddes from On3 Sports joining me here this morning. We'll be doing most of the show, but I'm going to be in here for the first half hour or so. What's up, partner? How are you?
I'm doing great. Have you stepped outside this morning? How could I mean, I'm in a jovial mood when I looked at my phone and it was 54 degrees out with not a cloud in the sky.
Doesn't that it's something about it. I mean, even the dogs are like, yeah, this is cool. I'm ready to go.
Just made my day much. It made my day much better. So doing good. And as is typical around here, there's a lot to get to. Always a lot to get to.
We already got Nathan and Jeff jumping in the comments. You can jump in the comments as well if you're watching or listening, wherever you're doing it on Twitter at the JP Peterson Show, on our YouTube pages at FanStream Sports or the JP Peterson Show, also on Facebook and X. What else did I miss? But you know where to find us. If you're there, just go ahead and hit the comments, whatever you like. We'll be talking a lot of Bucs today. We'll be talking Lightning. We'll be talking college football, all that good stuff. But we're also having to deal with the Rays because it's historic times. It's huge times. And quite frankly, we broke news yesterday, which is honestly the biggest story that's happening right now in Tampa Bay, and that's the Rays stadium.
All right. I think JP might have actually just hit the button to take him out of the stream by accident. There you are.
That was me.
I was going to say, I watched you click something on your computer and I was like, you literally just clicked yourself out, but we're back.
What the hell am I doing? So we broke the story yesterday of a couple of things. Ken Hagen told us on the broadcast that they are meeting today with the mayor on the Tampa side. His team is meeting with the mayor. And by the way, we're going to play this interview with Ken Hagen. It's about 15, 20 minutes. We'll do that in the second hour in case you missed it, but we'll kind of encapsulate because it is a groundbreaking interview. There's no question about it. There's a lot of information in that is new and a lot of questions about the money. And we'll paraphrase that here, but we'll let him, speak all of his words of wisdom in the second hour. But basically what we found out yesterday was, number one, Ybor City's back in play. And this is, to me, is a huge revelation, and it is a great development because, this saves 6 months of design, of property appropriation. So much of the legwork that was done in 2018, 2019 is already done. And when Ken said that yesterday, I was like, what? It's a wonderful design. Like, compare that design to the one in St. Pete, right? I mean, come on, Nick. Which would you prefer? The big devil ray swoosh? I mean, we had Tim brought the pictures up yesterday. If you can do it, please do.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to, I hate to get away. I kind of like the St. Pete one better.
Come on. Like the Walmart over the brick and the devil ray and the translucent roof?
I'm just going to be honest with you. No, but you know what? I'll take what I can get, though.
Everybody has their own opinion, and that's fine. We welcome them all here. You and I honestly just disagree on a lot of those type things, but that's fine. Listen, I'll take any stadium in Ybor City. It'll be fine with me. But it's a beautiful design. So much of that legwork is already done. Now, obviously, it's going to be more expensive, but I do think construction costs are going to come down in the next couple of years because so much of the construction cost is connected to the price of oil. And the previous administration had the price of oil at about, $20 a barrel as opposed to $120 a barrel. And gas was half price. So all those things figure in. So while, some people are yelling about cost overruns, a lot of these costs may come down. And a lot of costs have already been spent in the design phase of the Ybor ballpark. So I think that's a huge story that we broke yesterday. And it got, I think, 27,000 views on Twitter, the post we put up last night with the Hagen interview. And the fact that they are meeting today, and as Ken said yesterday, the bringing the mayor in, all the teams to kind of get on the same page that if and when this deal in St. Petersburg disintegrates as we predicted it would, and today the city of St. Pete is going to vote as well. We had Richie Floyd on yesterday, who is the St. Pete commissioner. He is a no vote for a lot of different reasons. Check out that interview yesterday as well. That's on the show. I thought it was very interesting what he said and the points that he brought up of fiscal irresponsibility by St. Petersburg to even consider repairing the Trop at this point, because they're going to vote today and here's the thing, they don't even know what it's going to cost. Right now the estimates, and this is without actual structural engineers putting hands on things and measuring things, and this is just from visual inspections, what they think it's going to cost. Now, you tell me, you think that cost is going to go up? Yeah. And as, rain continues to come in the area, that falls into the Trop, things are not getting better. They're getting worse. So Lord knows what the price tag is on that. So whether it's $50 million, they don't know how much insurance is going to cover. They don't know how much FEMA is going to cover, where the money is coming from. They'll vote on that today. But they don't even know what the number is. But they do know this: whatever they put into that building will be worth nothing in 3 years because it's going to be torn down. I mean, the idea of just dumping money into that black hole seems absolutely fiscally irresponsible, although the mayor has called it fiscally responsible. There's so many tentacles to this. So you've got St. Pete Council meeting today to approve their bonds. And I'm wondering if they, too, will delay. Because, frankly, the Rays have already said in their letter that they're out, that the cost overruns are too much for them. And this is something that, once again, is not being reported. The Rays, as part of the deal that they signed, everybody's pointing at the commission. Oh, they're not living up to what they said they were going to do. Well, what about the Rays? The Rays said they were going to handle all cost overruns. Well, here we are. And what's their answer? Can't do it. Can't do it. Isn't that part of the agreement? Didn't they give you that huge real estate deal? And did they not, as the commissioner said the other day, we gave them control. We also gave them all the risk. And they said they would take the cost overruns. So as soon as something goes wrong, and here it is, that the date is backed up a year, they say they can't handle the money and they want more money.
I'll just say this. Every time, and we've been down this song and dance with Stu Sternberg for years.
Yes.
I said this on Monday. People have tried to make him like some type of sympathetic figure towards this thing and blaming like, oh, it's the commission and the commission is so bad. And listen, I don't like politicians either. I don't like anybody that's a part of this whole thing. I hate all of them. Yeah. All of you. I don't like you. I don't like any of you. But with that being said, Stu Sternberg has been like, I mean, the letter that he sends out the other day, and then the fact that he claims that, now it's too expensive for them. I'm sorry, but for somebody who, and granted, I'm aware that Stu Sternberg, when it comes to the tiers of like the richest sports owners, I understand that Stu Sternberg is not at the top. He's not Steve Ballmer. He's not Jerry Jones. I'm aware of that, but he's not starving for money. And so when he continues to just come out and tell us that, oh, I can't afford this, we can't afford this, I got no sympathy for that. And as a fan, I don't care. You got to have other billionaire friends. You got to have other investors. You can find the money if you want to find the money. Exactly. Is my take on this. And again, as a fan, I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting really, really tired of hearing this.
Yeah. And I know that you were in the camp of, well, Hillsborough County didn't get it done. They don't have money and all this. Given what you've heard the last couple of days, are you now more on the camp of, wow, the only constant in all these issues with the stadium is who? It's Stu.
Well,
and it's always been Stu.
Before I even got to listening to the Ken Hagen interview yesterday, I watched, I can't believe, I watched all 4 hours of that meeting on Tuesday. I even sat through the first 2.5 hours that had nothing to do with the Rays.
As did I.
I don't know what I was doing. But I listened to like how these commissioners were speaking about Stu Sternberg and even the ones who voted yes on this thing. And I kept asking myself, I'm like, how is this guy to have such bad relations with every politician, it seems like, in the Tampa Bay region? Like, how is that possible? And how has that got to make you feel when a commissioner, Chris Latvala, who's, taken the brunt of all this, which now I find funny because I was not aware at first that he was already a no vote in July or June or whatever.
Yes.
And so he's the one that's getting all the stick for it right now and whatever. But
that's once again because of the mainstream media and the way they portrayed him, and the way they portray Stu as the sympathetic figure. Even the articles yesterday were all never mentioned. It's the Rays that are pulling out of this. It's the Rays that are not living up to their end of the bargain. They're the ones who pulled out. These deadlines that they say were missed were not hard deadlines,
right? And the way that the Times article now, looking back on the quotes and everything, and they were brought up. And I love the commissioner. I forgot his name, the one that brought it up with the actual paper.
Yeah.
And he slammed it down, and he was like, "This garbage
Commissioner Scott."
Yeah. Like I got a kick out of that. I got to be honest with you. And then I think he spoke after the meeting, and you might have played the audio yesterday where he's like, he's the worst communicator I've ever seen, or something. The Rays.
Yes.
Like, I'm just hearing all this, and granted, should that get in the way of a deal? Probably not. Like, it's kind of one of those things where, like, they don't like the guy and maybe they don't fully trust him, but they're trying to do what they think is best for their constituents and for the best. And that's okay. Like, I think that's a great thing if they believe that. But it's still just crazy to me, though, the general idea that he just seems to have bad relations with everybody that he's discussed this stadium deal with over the last 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So, this is somebody mentioned this. Kelly Cowan. Mark Davis coming in saying, you guys got a shout out on Fox 13 this morning. Yes, they gave us credit for the story that we broke yesterday with Kelly Cowan. Here's just a little snippet of it. I'll just play it for you through the microphone.
Maybe back in play when it comes to a new stadium. The story continues. Let's get to Kelly Cowan to tell us what is happening today. Hey, Kel, good morning.
Good morning to you. Yeah, Hillsborough and Tampa leaders are actually going to be meeting today. It's the leadership that was together on the original deal that they presented to the Rays when they were discussing a possible Ybor City deal. Now, that stadium got bypassed eventually for St. Pete. Looked like the deal was dead, but now it appears that maybe the door is back open. So they're going to be discussing their options to see if whether or not that's the case today. And at the same time, St. Pete City Council has some big decisions to make today when it comes to the Rays ballpark, both present and future. Now, first and foremost, they need to approve funding for the emergency repairs to the Trop, because without the roof, the stadium has been left open to the elements and exposed offices and other spaces that are not intended to suddenly be open air. Well, they are degrading further and further day by day. So next up on the agenda is going to be the ongoing drama over the new stadium. City leaders, they still need to vote to approve the bonds to fund their portion of the ballpark. Yeah, that sounds pretty familiar, right? That's because we just saw the county delay a similar vote earlier this week. The Rays say they'll likely need to make a bigger ask now, because they say with all the stalling, it's leading to higher costs. They're going to be asking that the local governments, St. Pete and Pinellas, both chip in. They haven't specified any numbers, but some are now, based on that, urging St. Pete Council members to put things off until they know more about just how much the team could be asking for. And that's a pickle Hillsborough Commissioner Ken Hagen says would have been avoided in the deal that they had presented to the team to play in Tampa.
That's right.
But
hold on.
I've always stated
one more part of it. Yeah.
There it is. Foremost,
this is from our
we're going to protect the taxpayers. We're not going to offer something that it's a raw deal, and
like
in our model, it is creative based. However, it is primarily driven by creating an entertainment district that's fee based by every beer, Coke, hot dog is purchased. A portion goes toward the ballpark, similar model to Texas Rangers in Arlington.
Now, as Ken Hagen explained yesterday on the J.P. Peterson show, the deal that they've laid out for the Rays would allow the team to earn based on performance. So they'd get a cut of monies brought in by fans. He says the city and county would not be on the hook for a massive upfront cost, and that the team would end up making more money in the long run. He believes they're going to get a preview of just how good a deal like that could be when they play at Steinbrenner Field next year. Hagen is predicting that every game is going to sell out. So as we're telling you, the drama is continuing. There's meetings on both sides of the Bay today. We're going to be following that very closely and bring you updates as we learn them.
Okay. Continues.
Russell was not. He did not want any crosstalk after that.
I mean, yeah. Again, if you're an outsider of this whole situation, it's like, again, this is not how this goes typically. This is just not how none of this is normal. It's really not. And like, to even the thing that going back to that meeting real quick, what Brian Scott said, like when they delayed the Vaughn vote because of the hurricanes and everything, and they thought that it was fair to like everybody breathe a little bit before we get into this, which
yes,
agreed. Whether you agree with the deal or disagree with the deal, like I think we could all agree that a delay was okay. But the Rays, in like true petty nature, are like taking that as an act of war.
Right.
Like, at least that's the way that they say from their side of it. Like, that's just crazy to me. And like I think he said, like, why does one delay of 30 days impact a 30-year commitment to this community? It shouldn't.
No,
it shouldn't. And that's when I turn now and I point the finger at Stu Sternberg.
And I think that's fair. I think I have the sound. Era Parsegian, I believe his name is, over Channel 10. Posted it here. I think I have it right here.
Perfectly honest with you.
Here, this is the man.
I think the Rays strategy sucks, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it has for quite some time. They are horrible communicators, and I think they're the most politically tone-deaf organization I've ever met in my life.
And that's a yes vote. That is a yes vote. That's a yes vote. And I love I love the honesty of it. I mean, hell, if the Rays are going to go into the paper and throw shots at you,
they bash you,
throw them right back. But to your point, you had asked me about like if I had any changed feelings about the Tampa thing after hearing the Hagen interview. I genuinely want to believe that that's going to happen one day. I had almost given up completely on that, but I genuinely want to feel it's going to happen. And it's because of the fact that I see where this is going, where Stu seems like he wants to pull out of this deal.
Yeah.
And then also of note, I don't know if you saw Rob Manfred spoke yesterday at the MLB.
Just going to mention that. Go ahead.
League owner meetings. And I'll bring up one of the quotes here for the people that keep saying that he's going to move the team.
Right.
Rob Manfred said right up front, we're committed to the fans in Tampa Bay. I think given all that's happened in that market, we're focused on our franchise in Tampa Bay right now. So Rob Manfred is basically telling you, like you've been saying, they're not leaving the 11th largest media market in the United States. It's not going to happen. They're going to figure out something.
Right. And he was very adamant about that. And what also is interesting is the Rays in their letter could have definitely said and left it empty that we're searching for we're now wide open for any and all, basically I'm paraphrasing, any and all takers, other deals in Tampa Bay. And they did that very specifically in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
So they could have easily, threatened to leave the market, but they did not do that. And I think there's a reason for that. And his name's Rob Manfred. I don't think that was something that's
and none of the owners
wanted to do, because
none of the owners are going to go for Tampa Bay relocating because they don't get their the
expansion
profit.
fee. Yeah, the relocation fee is much less than an expansion, and they want to preserve these expansion markets for expansion, where they get a $2 billion expansion fee.
Right.
But allowing Stu to move somewhere just doesn't really do anything. Now, and by the way, so you got to find an owner that's going to buy the team for upwards of $2 billion. Then you have to find a municipality that's going to give them another, build them a stadium. There is no municipality out there with a baseball ready stadium right now. There's none. So that's another $1.5 to $2 billion. Then you need another $1 billion to run the team. So is there a municipality out there that's got $5 billion ready to fork over and do this deal? I don't think so.
Yeah.
And have a place for the team to play in the interim. That seems like a heavy lift, and it seems like counterproductive to expansion, which is where Manfred wants to get to. So he knows, look, they put all this, there is a fan base in Tampa Bay, and I think he's probably now come to the final realization. And I think, as I said yesterday, the way the Rays have behaved, and you could see, and this is just not me saying it now, right? It's all the county commissioners. And as you pointed out, even the ones that are for it were excoriating the Rays in their behavior for being so callous after a hurricane as to say, just even a delay in voting, even though you guys haven't missed any deadlines, just even thinking about delaying it. And the fact that this is going to take another year to build, we're out. That's a cost overrun that we can't handle. You did the deal and said you would pay for it. And of course, we said they won't. And as Richie Floyd said yesterday, this is an age-old thing in public-private partnerships. They say they're going to put in all this money. Everybody starts building it. And then when we don't have the money, the municipalities are left holding the bag. They're not going to leave a half unfinished stadium. They're going to have to complete it. So they're the ones that are eventually holding the bag. And whether contractually or not, that's the way it works. So you need willing partners on both sides. And if the fact that, so people are saying now, well, St. Pete should just pass it and Pinellas should just pass it and put the ball in the Rays court. Well, you do that at your own peril. Yes, the Rays won out, but if you do that, or are you going to make them build this stadium? You're going to make Stu Sternberg spend this money. I mean, if you don't have a willing partner in the biggest expenditure in the history of the county, that's not going to end well. And certainly not going to end well with someone who, has previously said you're not a major league city and has never wanted to build in St. Petersburg until you gave them a huge profit windfall on the redevelopment. So again, what St. Pete does today in their meeting, I think is going to be very, very telling. And I just don't understand how Mayor Welch is going to sit there and say, hey, we need at least $50 million to redo the Trop. They don't know what the insurance is going to be in terms of how much they're going to pay off. If there's going to be FEMA money, that's not known, and how much. And what's the biggest unknown is how much it's actually going to cost to fix the Trop. And you're literally going to pour that money in and then spend another $2 billion, $1.5 to $2 billion. If there's interest paid on these loans, which if you're taking out 30-year bonds, there has to be interest. If you take it 30 years, I get that. But if you don't, it'll be less. And the county thought they could do that, but that's getting into the weeds. Bottom line is you're going to put 50 at the least, 75, 100 million at the most to repair the Trop. And this is what really people aren't talking about. It's still the same failed location. It's still the same failed look. There is no guarantee, even if you build it, that it's going to be a success. What if you build it and they don't come? What if you build it and you still have attendance issues? What if you build it and you could have done something so much better with that land that would have been, instead of putting out $2 billion in cost and paying for all the infrastructure, you sell it to a developer that handles all the costs and pays you for the infrastructure. It's a $3-4 billion net deal difference. You're not putting out $2 billion, you're making it. And that's what the council today, basically, when you're looking at from 50,000 feet, that's what they're deciding today. Are we going to pour more money into this hole, all of this money, and there's still no guarantee that it's going to be successful? In fact, there's a lot of evidence that suggests it won't, that we're just ignoring. Oh, no, if we build it, it's going to be a huge success. Everybody's going to come. How do you know?
There are people
that are still on the edge of the market.
There are people on that commission that don't even believe it's a great location, and they know it. Yeah, it's mind-boggling how we got here in the first place. Like this whole thing was born out of settling for this location because Stu had thrown his hands up and there was nothing else to do.
They never wanted to build here.
No, they never wanted to.
They said it publicly thousands of times.
And to the point, Manfred had other quotes. He basically said that they need to have something put in place before the 2026 season in regards to a long-term stadium situation.
Mm-hmm. He put a deadline on it, which I like.
He did put, that's as firm as I think a deadline we've gotten from him.
Yes,
probably before the 2026 season. So there's still some time for this to go either way.
Daniel Rivera, I want to put this up real quick. I think this is interesting. He said there will be a new owner of the Rays. Tampa is going to get it done. Don't think that behind the scenes that MLB hasn't talked to and vetted potential buyers in Tampa, because they have, if not already. And I think they have. And this is from Manfred's quotes, which I think are very different from what we've heard from him before, about being very specific about Tampa Bay. And the fact that I think Major League Baseball had a huge hand in the Steinbrenner Field location, because they know that it's going to be packed and it's going to show that it has to be on the Tampa side. That's going to, if there are any investors out there that needed a little bit of nudge, and I do believe, because I don't think Ken Hagen would be as aggressive as he is being with what he said on our show yesterday. And when you hear the interview, you're gonna hear this. It's not like, oh, we might have this. He said the Ybor City location is still open. That deal is still viable. We are meeting with the mayor and everybody from the city today to talk about this and rekindle it and make sure we have all our ducks in a row. Then Manfred backs that up by saying we're staying in Tampa Bay. Absolutely.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing.
This point. Let me just
finish. Yeah, go ahead.
If they didn't know they had a prospective owner in mind that wanted to build in Tampa, they wouldn't have said any of that stuff. Trust me, I'm telling you, because I know where this deal has been. It really feels like to me that they've identified somebody, and it may be the same person that I spoke with in Atlanta over July 4th. And I've told you guys about this, who has the money to do this deal, was in the process of doing due diligence and to buy the Rays. Even after the vote was made, he's the one who told me that stadium's not going to be built, and Stu Sternberg's going to try and take the real estate money. He told me that, and that's exactly what's happening. And we told you guys that 2 months ago. So continue. Sorry.
Yeah, my thing with the Hillsborough thing, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but unless Ken Hagen says what he said yesterday on your show about them meeting with the mayor and everything today,
right?
Does that even like ever come out? Because I'm asking that.
You think it would have been a meeting kind of? Well, it's a public meeting and it's going to be on the agenda, so that we would have found out today.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm. I just wanted to confirm. My point with bringing this up, it's like if the city of Tampa, Hillsborough County, whatever, if they truly think that they have a chance to get back in the game and they're interested and they feel that they can do it. I've heard this from Ken Hagen for years, okay? And he's been very outspoken about his desire for this. I almost like want to hear from other people too, because I feel like, and this is nothing against Ken, okay? Because I understand that he's very passionate about this, but I'd almost like to hear the enthusiasm and the will to from some of the other people. So I know that it's not just one person that's pushing this.
Mayor Castor?
I'd like to hear from Mayor Castor if she really was interested, but I'm getting the feeling they don't want to step on the toes of Pinellas County.
Jane doesn't. Jane doesn't want to step on the toes. That's the feeling I get.
It's like nobody wants to like, yeah, it's all political game, and I understand that, but that's where I'm at. I get the feeling that
Jane
they don't
has
want
other
to
priorities for the city, frankly. And the 15-minute city being part of it, which I don't think the constituents would share, quite frankly. I think the constituents with a fair deal that benefits the county and the city would be for it. That's my not a St. Pete deal, not a giveaway bend over deal, but a fair deal that pays as you go, as Ken explains in the interview. I think Jane needs to be probably, and Jane obviously is a Democrat. Mayor Welch is a Democrat. I think she feels some, deference to Mayor Welch to kind of stay out of the way until it's blown up. But Jane, it's blown up. It's not happening. The deal is done. It's over. The Rays are pulling out. Pinellas County doesn't want to do the deal. They don't have the votes in Pinellas County now to get the deal done. And I think you'll find
Stu said it in his letter, like, all willing and open to all partners in the Tampa Bay area.
Right.
Like, to me, that's the signal to like, hey, let's get there. Like, to hell with all this stepping on toes things. If you truly want it, go and take it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the last chance. This is it. It's the last chance.
And if Stu is going to be doing the deal in Tampa, I think that, and I don't think that's possible because, I think Colleen Wright had an article today. I just saw pop up on Twitter about the possibility of him taking the real estate windfall and not building the stadium. And, when that nuclear bomb hits, maybe I shouldn't have used that term, given the circumstances. When that hits, people are going to lose their mind because, and I'll say it again. I told you so. And the idea that he could take a $700 million windfall and use that money to pay his portion of a stadium in Tampa will make every head in St. Petersburg explode. And that's not cool. I mean, that would not be cool to do. Absolutely. That would be stealing money from the taxpayers of St. Petersburg. That would be, I would not be for that. As much as I want a stadium in Tampa, that's not the way to do it. Absolutely, 100%. No way. I would take no joy. I think I laugh at it because it's more like I told you he'd try to do it, but I take no joy in it. And I don't think Hillsborough County would want to do a deal like that. And I don't think Major League Baseball would allow it. That would be the ugliest stain on Major League Baseball in history. And that's why I just get a sense that Manfred has finally reached the end point of this and is going to force a sale like they did with Namoli force a sale and have a new owner. And I think they probably have somebody in mind. I don't think they would be this aggressive with meetings and everything else if they didn't feel like there was someone with deep pockets that could make this happen, because that's what's needed. That's what's needed to get this deal done, because Tampa does not have the money up front. We told you this forever, but they have more long-term money for an owner that's going to come in and have a long-term view and has deep pockets to build something with the developer where, it's paid for as you go along, just like the Atlanta and the Arlington deals. These are proven economic models. They're not pie in the sky. I hear everybody on Twitter, Hagen has all this creative stuff and CDCs and CRs. And yeah, you know where he got it? From Atlanta and Arlington. And it worked. It worked tremendously well for the taxpayers and for the teams. So to me, this is it's a positive development. Am I saying it's done? Hell no. There's a lot to be done. We're just simply pointing out what's happening. We're breaking the news as to the meeting that's happening today and Ybor City back in play. We told you that yesterday. So, I think we've been on the front of this, and I appreciate the sources and the people that have trusted me to do this. And I hope you guys stick around, and we're going to be leading the way on this, because clearly there are other places where you're not getting the full story, where you are not and have not gotten the full story. But we're here for you. We're non-corporate media. That's what we do. So we're proud to do it. And thanks for giving us the opportunity to do it. All our sponsors as well. What have I left out as far as these new developments go?
I think you hit pretty much all of it. Trying to see here. I'm going through my notes if we missed anything. I think you got it all. Got it all.
All right. Well, I'm going to turn this bad boy over to you and say a hearty thanks to all of our sponsors that have allowed us to do this for so long. The Jeeves Law Group. Don't forget about, if you have any issues, legal issues whatsoever, they'll give you a free case evaluation, jeeveslawgroup.com. Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Go and make your appointment right there. Get concierge medicine. Italiano Insurance. They've been in business for 60 years, folks. If you have any questions about your claims or anything, they'll help you out, but just let them shop your insurance if you would. Golden Diamond Source, of course, it's holiday time. Where else are you going to shop? The Golden Diamond Source, talking about local treasures. Julie and Steve Weintraub, thank you guys so much for your support. The Geddes Gordon Group, get back in the real estate game. It's going to heat up, so Jane Geddes will help you out. Third Generation Plumbing. We love John Rodriguez, huge baseball fan, huge three-generation Tampanian. Can't wait to go to games at Steinbrenner. Let them handle your AC and plumbing work and anything you need. And, of course, Cafe Paradiso. Get a reservation there at Cafe Paradiso and tell Paulo I said hello. That'll about do it for me. I'm taking a 2-day vacation, my partner. We're going on a little bit of a cruise. So we'll have I'll be keeping up on the meetings today and be tweeting out and all that stuff. So we'll have that.
Whatever you do, don't fall off the boat. Whatever you do.
Well, I almost got blown off the boat last time. So we will not be sailing into a hurricane this time. So I'm feeling good about this one. So thanks, brother. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go.
Right now.
Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. JP cutting out here. He's got to go on a little vacation this week to get away. But listen, he was not going to come on today. Okay, he was not going to come on today, but he gave us 30 minutes because he felt it was his duty. So thanks to him for that. Thank you to all of our sponsors as well. Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, Golden Diamond Source, the Geddes Gordon Group, Third Generation Plumbing Services, and Cafe Paradiso. Of course, thank you for allowing us to continue to do this. And yeah, it's been as you heard there in that first hour, and as you've really been hearing for the last week, it's been a week. It's been a week. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, and it started last week with the announcement where the Rays were going to play in Steinbrenner Field, and there was the initial high of that they were going to be playing finally in Tampa for at least one season. And then soon after, the ripple effects of how this was going to affect the deal were out. And then the article in the Times from John Romano on Saturday with Sternberg's quotes and the vote on Tuesday. It's been a lot. It's been a lot. And being a Rays fan right now is not for the faint at heart. It just is not. And I even said this on Monday's show. If you really go back, and these situations have nothing to do with each other whatsoever, but just in terms of the Rays from on the field standpoint, off the field standpoint, remember when the Rays started out the 2023 season and they jumped out to the 13-0 record, and they were like 30-5 at one point. It was the best offense they've ever had. They were absolutely rolling. And then Shane McClanahan has to go get Tommy John surgery. Jeffrey Springs had it before him. Drew Rasmussen has Tommy John surgery. You lose all your pitchers, and then the franchise player, we don't need to get into that whole situation. You lose him for good, and you go home in the playoffs, pretty easily. And then you come into this season, and the on-field product is the worst that we've seen it under Kevin Cash probably since the 2016 season, if I had to argue. And there were a lot of reasons for that. But at least we had some like solace in the fact that the stadium seemed to all be worked out. And then we have 2 hurricanes come through. We have an election after a delay of a vote. And here we are. And I say all that to say the hits kept coming because yesterday, and I know many were very heartbroken about this, and I was too, Trisha Whitaker, who had been the, for lack of a better term, sideline reporter for the Rays on what now is the FanDuel Sports Network for the last 6 years. She put out a very lengthy post on Twitter announcing that she will not be returning to the Rays next season. And it was very emotional for a lot of people because, listen, we love the team, we love the players, all those things. But I think we tend to grow a bond too with the people that are calling the game and everything. And Trisha's always done a fantastic job on that. And we've seen some great reporters, in-game reporters throughout the years. I think Todd Callis obviously being the most notable, but Trisha did a great job here for 6 years. She's absolutely going to be missed. And we all probably saw it was going to come one day because, the last 2 years she was doing the Apple broadcast on Friday nights and stuff like that. So we knew that she had higher aspirations and she was going to move up the ladder pretty quickly, and she's absolutely earned that. So congratulations to her, but she's going to be missed. But nonetheless, it's just another thing that we're losing. So it is what it is. We have to soldier on as Rays fans. I'm going to hit some of your comments here, starting with Daniel Rivera. Nick, if you read between the lines from Manfred's comments, like you said earlier, he gave a firm timeline of 2026 to get a deal done. I got to think there's going to be a new owner that gets this done. Listen, I'm at the point where I think that's the only way, to be honest with you. Stu Sternberg has tried to negotiate, I should say, numerous stadium deals over the last 15, 20 years. And we've all thought, oh, the stadium's going to be here. It's going to be there. It's going to be over where. And it never happens. It never happens. And I think we've all reached this point of exhaustion with this whole topic. But it's still very important, obviously, because we're talking about the future of our baseball team. But yeah, I find it hard to believe that at some point Stu Sternberg is ever going to negotiate a deal and get it done and get it over the finish line. Maybe not all of these things are his fault necessarily, but he certainly doesn't help. He certainly does not help. And he seems to be getting in the way. And the fact that he puts out that letter 2 hours before the meeting on Tuesday, it's just, who does that? Like, I understand that there's posturing involved here and grandstanding and everything and blah, blah, blah. But it just seems like such an interesting tactic to sort of send out a warning letter, basically threatening the city that if you don't vote the way I want you to vote here, then I'm done. I'm leaving. And clearly they knew exactly what was happening with that letter. We all knew it, and they even mentioned it during the meeting that's exactly what he was doing. And guess what? It did not work. So we go back to the drawing board, so to say. Thomas Casper said the Tampa meeting is streaming in compliance with sunshine laws, but Jane is low energy. I know, Thomas. I see your stuff all the time on social media. You're not a fan of Jane Castor. Lonnie Wilkins said MLB owners are also sick and tired of teams like the Rays exploiting the revenue sharing when they have the resources to have a league average payroll. The Rays have never fully tried to win a World Series. I've sort of been on this for a long time, that the Rays and Stu Sternberg deserves credit for this, and the fact that, or he deserves some credit for this, not all the credit, okay? He's not on the field. He's not the one, making some of those team decisions, but he's put the right people in place to sort of execute his game plan, and they've done a really good job with that since he's been the owner. Not taking anything away from him, but the Rays, I feel like, make it very difficult on themselves, and they leave themselves with not much margin of error when they refuse to spend the money that I think it's required to try to be a championship team year after year after year. And obviously they've gotten to 2 World Series, and that's great, but I think that they probably could have done more during this time. And you see the trend right now with teams that are winning the World Series. It's really the teams that are spending a lot of money, and nobody's asking the Rays to do that. I think we're simply asking, can you get a little bit closer to the average payroll? And it is sort of frustrating, like in this offseason. Listen, given everything that's gone on, the Rays are not probably going to be involved in much. They're just not. And they hardly ever are either. But especially given everything that's happened and the, so to say, loss of revenue that they're claiming, they're probably not going to be involved in a lot. And it's sort of frustrating because we have 2 big, free agents that are both, or I know one, Pete Alonso, I know is a free agent. And obviously, he's a Plant High School product. He's a Florida product. He would look great over at first base. I know the Rays are probably going to be trying to shop Yandy Diaz, so that would have a hole there at first base, and he'd be great. But probably not going to be happening. He's going to be out of their price range. And then Kyle Tucker's another one who I don't think has signed his extension yet with Houston, and he's the same thing as Pete Alonso. He's a plant product. He looked great in the outfield for the Rays. I think he's only 27 years old, so he's in the prime of his career. Like, these are guys ideally like you'd love to be able to have a shot to land, but the Rays just don't. And it is what it is. And they trade Jose Siri the other day. And listen, the way I see that is addition by subtraction. Addition by subtraction is what I see with the Jose Siri's trade. He's at his best. He's a very exciting player, and he was a fan favorite at times. But I think you saw throughout the past season, there were many times where Kevin Cash just straight up pulled him out of a game or was open about the lack of effort, and we could see it with our own eyes, whether it's not running out ground balls, whether it's a bit lackadaisical in the outfield. And oh, by the way, when you're hitting under the Mendoza line and you're doing all these other things, and I think his defense tailed off a little bit last year as well, he was very expendable. So the Rays are trying to sort of reshape what they're going to do in their outfield. Now, am I putting all my eggs into the Johnny DeLuca is the full-time center fielder, as Mark Topkin, I believe, wrote? No, that doesn't excite me whatsoever. But again, do we really believe the Rays are going to be that active in free agency? No. It's probably going to be more in the trade market. And the two names that Jeff Passan of ESPN wrote in his offseason primer were that Yandy Diaz and Brandon Lau, even though they exercised his $10 million option for this year, that they're both probably going to be shopping them to see what they can get. So that's where we're at, a little on the field talk there about the Rays. Tim Haynes said, Florida's population is not shrinking, it's growing, and insane to leave a situation like that, especially because of a bad owner. I wholeheartedly agree. Listen, I'm a Tampa Bay native, born and raised here. I'm very proud of that, by the way, because if you are too, you know that there's not many of us, and I'm damn proud of it. And I think this is the best place in the United States to be. I think there's a reason why many people move here, as much as I kind of scoff at it sometimes because I feel like we're getting a little too packed. But listen, who wouldn't want to be here? And I feel very lucky to be here. And if anybody's been listening to the show for the last few years that I've been on, you know that I have a very rich connection to the baseball community in this region. And I know where it comes from. I'm very up to date with it. I'm very involved with it. And I've always felt like this should be so much better than what it's been for the last 25, 26, 27 years, whatever it's been, if the Rays have been a franchise. And I know it can be better. And I try to remain hopeful about that. And I'm just, like I said, I'm just hoping that one day we can see the best that Tampa Bay baseball has to offer. But to your point, yes, this is like one of the highest growing markets in the United States. It doesn't make sense whatsoever for them to lose a baseball team. And I feel like too, from a sports perspective too, and not just the Rays, like having 3 sports teams or 4 sports teams, to me, that puts you in like this like tier. When you have 2 or less, it kind of just is what it is. When you have 3 or more, especially when it's MLB, NHL, NFL, I feel like that puts you in a different tier when we have that. And if you lose the Rays, I just feel like you lose so much of that. And look about the ratings. The Rays get such higher ratings all over the market on TV. It's insane. So I know that it can work. Hopefully that happens. Lonnie Wilkins. Also, how about Trisha Whitaker announcing her departure from the organization? Always just hit that. Jeff Stutler said, agree with Nick. I'm sick of it too. Everyone is blaming Chris and twisting that he's a no vote on the stadium, but it's a no on the deal they had. All right. I'm going to shift gears here now. We've talked a lot about the Rays, but I'm going to take a quick break. And when I come back, I saw some comments in here about the Bucs, and I'm going to get into that as well, because the Bucs, it's not going to be, I was about to say the Bucs have a big game. It's a big game for them. It's probably not a game that anybody outside of Tampa, and honestly, a lot of people in New York probably aren't excited either at this point when it comes to their football team. So there's not a lot of buzz around this game, but except for here in Tampa Bay. So at MetLife Stadium against Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito, of course. So I'm going to dive in a little bit into that. Baker spoke yesterday, Todd Bowles yesterday. We'll preview all that, and we'll continue to go through your comments. Stay tuned.
Hey, folks, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center, a very different kind of approach to primary care. Personalized preventative medicine, not a one-pill-fits-all mentality. Christopher Lugo and his experienced medical staff are proactive in looking at issues before they become a problem, encouraging a healthy lifestyle with proper diet, supplements, and exercise to optimize your active lifestyle. Rather than the impersonal, rushed approach, you will be the only patient and will have our full attention. That's new. Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. Bay Area Modern Medical Centers are experts in anti-aging regenerative medicine that optimizes your body's performance in many areas. So call for an appointment to get started on a journey back to full health and a happy life with a new, modern way of healthcare. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. That's 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Hey, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There's been a lot of talk about lab-grown diamonds. Oh, they're just like the real thing. No, they're not. They're not the real thing. They're lab-grown. They're fake. You want to give your honey a fake diamond? Not a good way to start off the relationship, folks. Take my word for it. Get the real thing, and no place better to shop than the Gold and Diamond Source. And remember, if you shop anywhere else, you don't know if it's real. You don't know what you're buying. The Gold and Diamond Source has been in business for over 40 years. Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors in our community. You know it's real. It's the only place to shop. And if you're planning to purchase for the holidays, don't forget to take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. You can reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. As always, we offer up to 5 years interest-free financing for just $84 a month when you finance $5,000. It's the only place to shop for the holidays. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is two-time LPGA major champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the U.S. Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Geddes Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
Let's go!
Right now.
Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on Thursday. Nick Geddes riding solo here with y'all for the rest of the morning, as JP is off to a cruise at an undisclosed location. He won't even tell me where he's going. So we'll see. Hopefully he makes it back for Monday's show, which I'm sure is going to be a big one, because the Bucs are coming off the bye week. We got a really big football game for them. Really big football game. 4-game losing streak. By the way, the last 3 losses for the Buccaneers by a combined 14 points against the Chiefs, Falcons, and 49ers. So all could have been very winnable games. The Buccaneers could be sitting in a completely different situation, but they're not. They're not. And we've documented why those reasons are. So it is what it is. They're 4-6. The Falcons stubbed their toe last weekend against Denver. So they sort of opened the door again for the Bucs to try to get back into this division hunt. The Bucs have the easiest schedule in football down the stretch, and that starts with the New York Football Giants this weekend, who are basically, and I said this on Monday, the Giants they're begging you to just put them out to the pasture. They're begging. The Giants are essentially doing it to themselves. Now, Daniel Jones has not played well this year. I think everybody that's watched any bit of Giants football, and I know that you probably don't want to watch too much of Giants football, but if you have, Daniel Jones has not played well. This is probably the worst that I've seen Daniel Jones play throughout his entire career, and that's saying something. But they go ahead and bench him, and not just quarterback 2, not quarterback 3, but it looks like Daniel Jones might be quarterback 4. They brought in Tim Boyle. Brian Daboll said that they haven't decided yet who's going to be quarterback 3 between Daniel Jones and Tim Boyle, which seems pretty disrespectful to me. I understand that you're moving on from Daniel Jones, but that seems to be like a step too far. We've got Dexter Lawrence, who, by the way, is going to be an absolute handful for the Bucs to deal with. Dexter Lawrence is one of the best players in football that many people probably don't talk enough about. But with that being said, Dexter Lawrence was pretty open about the decision for the Giants to start Tommy DeVito. I'm trying to bring the exact quote up here, if I have it here in my notes. He said, he had disappointment over it, and he said on Tuesday, he's the quarterback 1 talking about Daniel Jones. To me, he's the best quarterback on the team. And then there was also an anonymous player who told Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, "We're not idiots. They did it because of money, so be it. But Daniel has been all class, never complained, and is now being completely disregarded. The team record is bad. You can point fingers everywhere. To try to blame him is trash, and making him third string is weak as bleep." So there you go. I brought all that up to tell you basically that, again, the Giants are trying to basically just fold on the entire season. I think that's pretty much evident, and the Bucs have a chance to finish them off. But here comes Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito, and Sean Stellato, his agent, who went very viral last year for looking like the New York Italian mobster or whatever. He's back. I saw him on Peter Schrager's podcast yesterday, so that's great. And I'm sure that they're hoping that he provides a little bit of a spark for the Giants in this game. At the very least, it energizes the fan base a little bit, which right now is just hoping they lose as many games so they can get to the draft and get their next quarterback. But this has to be a game that the Bucs go out there and win. Is it a must win? Absolutely. Absolutely, it's a must win. You don't have wiggle room right now because the NFC is absolutely loaded. The only path that I see for the Bucs right now to get into the playoffs is they're going to have to win the division. They're going to have to win the division. And losing games to the Giants is just not acceptable. And if you lose to the Giants, then quite frankly, you don't deserve to win the division. And the good thing is the Bucs did have the bye week, so that allowed some of their guys to get healthy a little bit. And we know that health has been a big issue for the Bucs this season. We'll see what happens with Jamel Dean, but we have pretty much confirmed that Mike Evans is going to be back on the field on Sunday. Mike Evans is going to be back. They did not put him on injured reserve because they figured that this might be more short-term than in the long term. He ends up missing 3 games, 4 weeks total if you include the bye week. But it sounds like he's going to be back out there on Sunday. He was at practice yesterday. And I wrote a little bit about this yesterday for On3 Sports. And Mike has actually, so the Giants actually against the pass this year have been one of the best teams in football, if you can believe it. The defense has actually been pretty serviceable, but against the pass, the Giants have only allowed 184.2 yards per game. That's the 4th best mark in the entire NFL. So they've been really stingy in that department. But Mike Evans, I went and looked his numbers against the Giants, and granted, he has not played the Giants in 3 years. Things change, whatever, but for what it's worth, against the Giants in 6 games, Mike Evans has 38 catches for 655 yards and 7 touchdowns. So Mike Evans has been a bit of a giant killer in his entire career. The Buccaneers receivers had 4 catches for 28 yards combined against San Francisco. I can't believe that's real. So I think you're going to see a steady dose of targets Mike's way, a steady dose of targets, and hopefully that hamstring can hold up, because remember, that's exactly what happened in the Baltimore game, where he just basically re-aggravated. It just didn't hold up. And actually, I saw Greg Allman, those numbers I just told you against the Giants, if you were to prorate that over a 17-game season, that's 108 catches for 1,856 yards and 20 touchdowns. Okay. So again, Mike loves playing the Giants. And on the flip side to that, Cade Otton has been the number 1 target ever since Mike has gone down with injury. And when Chris went down with injury, the Giants are actually one of the better teams in the league at handling tight ends. As Greg wrote today, Greg Allman of Fox Sports, that is. Only 332 receiving yards to tight ends in 10 games. That's the lowest in the NFL. And they've only allowed one touchdown as well, which is the second least. That he notes that the Chargers have done none. So, yeah. Probably going to be a big Mike Evans game. Probably going to be a big Bucky Irving, Rashad White game. I would probably say in the passing game as well. Giants offense. Or not Giants offense, sorry. I got a lot of notes here with a lot of numbers. Giants offense, last in the NFL in red zone success. Giants defense, rather. Best in high leverage situations, 6 on third downs, 5th in red zone, 4th in goal to go situations, if I could say that correctly. So, that Giants defense is going to be a bit tough, but still, there's no excuses. Tommy DeVito should not, and this secondary has had its issues all year. We've talked about that a lot. They need more from Antoine Winfield Jr., the highest paid safety in the NFL. Whether it's injury or whatever it is, he's got to be better. Hopefully Jamel can get out there and you have your two corners together, because literally, I can't believe it, but Jamel Dean, ever since he's gone out with the injury, like that's been sort of like the big thing. It's been sort of the big thing. They just haven't been able to find somebody to play opposite of Zion McCollum, and they've tried 3 different dudes, and none of them have been able to work out. So hopefully Jamel's back there, but it's Tommy DeVito, man. It's Tommy DeVito. And listen, I know that New York's got some pretty good playmakers. Malik Neighbors, we're going to see him, probably going to see a lot of him. Wan'Dale Robinson is a receptions machine. Not really for a lot of yards, but he catches a lot of passes. And this rookie running back, I mean, we all love Bucky Irving. Probably the only other rookie running back so far this year that's been better than Bucky Irving has been the Giants' Tyrone Tracy out of Purdue, 4th-round pick, I believe he was. He's been absolutely electric for them ever since he's taken the reins from Devin Singletary. So the Giants have some players on offense, but again, Tommy DeVito. I'm just going to keep saying his name, Tommy DeVito. There should be no way that happens. So hopefully the Bucs can get a dub finally, and let's get back into this divisional hunt. And I saw the comment here earlier from Bucks Basement. Bucks Basement said, the fix is already in. Tommy DeVito, MetLife Stadium buzzing. Todd Bowles' knack of making backup quarterbacks look like Pro Bowlers. DeVito makes chicken cutlets out of Bowles' defense. I sure hope not. But I'll be honest with you. I would have rather faced Daniel Jones. I was hoping that the Bucs were going to face Daniel Jones. And now that they went to DeVito, in a way, it's like that's part of it. It's like you can see that side of the script. You can see it. Where Tommy DeVito comes in, and again, they're showing his agent left and right on the TV, and he makes some big plays, probably with his feet, to be honest with you, rather than through the air. And they pull off some miraculous win over the Bucs. Like, as much as I'd like to think it won't happen, I certainly can see a way that it happens. And then last note on Mike Evans, by the way, because I know everybody is talking about the fact that his consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, which he's had 10, he's one 1,000-yard season away from tying Jerry Rice for the most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, which is 11, which is crazy. Mike is at 335 yards this year. We got 7 games to go. He needs 665 yards to meet that threshold, which means he's going to have to average 95 yards per game. So Mike is going to have to be the best he's ever been, probably to get to that threshold. So it is what it is at this point. Again, the important thing is for Mike to try to help this team win football games. It's not about his yardage. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's just good that we're going to at least see him in the lineup on Sunday and hopefully helping the Buccaneers snap this 4-game losing streak. Bucks raise Bolts, said Bucks better win, and then Bulls get fired Sunday if we lose. Well, I said that last week, and I was very emotional and pretty fed up after the San Francisco game. And I said that if Todd Bowles loses to the Giants, what is the rationale for keeping him as the head coach of the team? In hindsight, it would probably not be best to, if you're going to fire Todd Bowles, it probably would not be best to do it mid-season, because and I floated this too. Like, okay, you would give Liam Cohen probably the head coaching duties for the rest of the year, but do you really want Liam Cohen to have to like sort of clean up Todd's mess then for the rest of the season? Like, probably not. it'd probably be best to give Leon a fresh start if that's what they end up doing, if this thing goes sideways. So the Glazers have never fired a head coach midseason. If they didn't do it for Raheem Morris in 2011 when he was in the middle of a 10-game losing streak, if they didn't do it then, I don't think they're going to do it now. So I think it's best that they're just gonna let this play out. They're gonna let this play out. If Todd Bowles and the Bucs don't make the playoffs at the end of the year, and that's a firm sign of regression when they were looking for them to obviously progress upon a wild card victory last year against Philadelphia, then you'll probably have some sort of resolution on that in regards to Todd Bowles' job. But I think at this point, it's probably best, as much as he might do a lot of things to lose the Bucs games, it's probably not going to happen. A firing, that is, during this season. So I think that's where we're at that. All right, I'm going to take another break. When we come back, I'm going to dive a little bit into some college football stuff off my chest. Football landscape by a lot of big talking heads, and I, for the life of me, cannot understand it. Cannot understand that. And so I have some things to get off my chest when it comes to college football. And I'm going to do that when we come back. Again, thank you to our great sponsors, the Jeeves Law Group, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, the Golden Diamond Source, the Get Escorted Group, Third Generation Plumbing, and Cafe Paradiso. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Old Hurricane Helene put a hurting on Tampa Bay, and for many of you, the rebuild will be a long process. You must beware of unscrupulous contractors offering up quick fixes for incredible prices. It's a scam. So go with long-standing, reputable companies like Third Generation Plumbing and AC. My friend John Rodriguez has been serving Tampa Bay since 1995 with hundreds of 5-star reviews. If you need a new AC system or any home repairs from Helene, they will work with insurance companies to get you taken care of quickly, expertly installed, of course, and a 1-year maintenance plan and 10-year warranty included on all AC units. 0% financing for 60 months. Contact them at thirdgenerationplumbing.com or 813-961-8024. That's 813-961-8024, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. So many of our Tampa Bay neighbors are finding out the hard way from Hurricane Helene that homeowners insurance does not cover flood damage. You must have flood insurance. It's a separate policy. Immediately call Italiano Insurance at 813-877-7799, and they will shop around to find the best policy before rates go up. Lock it in. Over 60% are underinsured in Florida, or you're not getting your discounts that you're entitled to. So do an insurance checkup at Italiano, and they could save you thousands of dollars. Italiano will make sure you're with a highly rated insurer, so there are no surprises in your time of need. Our hearts go out to all our neighbors devastated by Helene. These are the times we're proud to protect all the pieces of your life. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799. Hey, it's football season, and we welcome back the Gator Report every Monday and Friday, sponsored by the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can contact them through there. Scott Jeeves is a tremendous, aggressive attorney and a big Gator fan, so we appreciate him supporting this show and, of course, your Florida Gators. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. Whether it's personal injury or anything else, any law matter at all, it's the Jeeves Law Group, Jeeves lawgroup.com. Give them a call. Tell them JP sent you.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Cafe Paradiso, one of South Tampa premier traditional Italian restaurant. We were recently voted number 3 on Open Table list of Tampa Bay's top 10 restaurants. We're very proud of that because we take great care of preparing each dish by hand with homemade sauces, pastas, only the freshest local ingredients. You won't see the big institutional vendor trucks pulling up to our back door. We get our seafood from local vendors. Sometimes I even drive out to Tarpon Springs and pick out our daily catch right off those boats. So stop by and say hello. Try our traditional lasagna, the fresh veal, some of our signature dishes like capelli al granchio, that is angel hair with lump crab meat, our branzino, that is a sea bass. We're located at 4205 South McDill, and you can make a reservation on Open Table and read all the great reviews. See you soon. Ciao. Grazie.
Let's go.
Right now.
Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Nick Geddes riding solo here for the rest of this Thursday morning. If you missed the start of the show, I recommend absolutely listening to that when JP was on for the first 30 minutes with us. And we talked a lot more about the Hagen interview yesterday and some of the developments that continue to go on with the Rays Stadium. So be sure to check that out. And again, if you missed the Hagen interview, it's up on the YouTube page as a separate, so you can listen to that. Some good information in there. But I want to move on to some college football talk here, because we're getting into the nitty gritty of the season. Rivalry week is right around the corner, but before we get there, we have another big week this weekend. And I try not to get too outraged about these college football playoff rankings, because none of us know what the criteria is. I mean, they can outline what it is, but we know they don't follow any criteria. It's just they're going on a whim. It's whatever they feel like doing from one week to the next. But this stuff matters. This stuff matters in regards to seeding when you get into it, and some of the narratives that are being painted from these playoff rankings. So let me just point out the few things in these playoff rankings that just make absolutely no sense to me. So BYU was undefeated going into last week's game against Kansas. Kansas was a 3-win team going into that game against BYU. Kansas wins the game. It's perceived as a bad loss. Yes, Kansas had 3 wins. You are what your record ultimately says that you are. I will point out that Kansas had like 5 or 6 losses by 1 possession this season, and they've been really playing a lot better football lately, and they've started to flip those into wins. So, but whatever. You lost to a team that had 3 wins. I get it. But BYU goes from being the number 6 team in the nation, and they drop all the way to 14. Okay. Now, of course, they're going to drop. 14 is a pretty big drop for what right now is the number 1 Big 12 team. But what makes no sense is the team that's right in front of them is SMU. And I love SMU. I think SMU right now, if they meet Miami in the ACC championship game, I think Miami's going to have its hands full. But what is the rationale for having SMU ahead of BYU when they are both 9-1 and BYU beat SMU? That is SMU's only loss was to BYU, but yet BYU is now ranked behind them after losing to Kansas. Like, I don't get it. Like, does head-to-head not matter anymore, or is that where we're at? Oh, wait. It does matter sometimes, because as we move up the rankings, we have Georgia at number 10. Okay, Georgia beats Tennessee. They honor that head-to-head. Georgia's ahead of Tennessee, who's 11. Georgia's 10, and guess what? Ole Miss is 9. So Ole Miss obviously beat Georgia, so they get the benefit of the doubt in their 9. And then Alabama, Miami's 8, then Alabama is 7. So Alabama they're honoring their win over Georgia, and obviously they don't play Ole Miss this year. So they're honoring win and loss, or head-to-head rather, in regards to the SEC there, but then they don't do it with SMU and BYU. I don't know. Doesn't make much sense to me. And then even stuff that's lowered throughout, like Missouri has been the biggest just poser, fraud, whatever you want to call them, that's been in the entire ranking this entire time. They lose a football game this past weekend to South Carolina, and they don't even move. They stay right put at 23. Why? Because it gives the SEC another ranked team. It gives Alabama a ranked win, yada, yada, yada. We all know how that works. But I'm not really here to allege brand bias or to allege SEC bias necessarily with my next point. I'm really here to allege what's going on for real, and that's brand bias. And that brings me to Indiana. Indiana this weekend plays in Columbus at Ohio State. Indiana was ranked number 5. Ohio State was ranked number 2. And you hear a lot of people saying right now on TV, and I mean, it's really coming from Paul Feinbaum's mouth, which is to nobody's surprise whatsoever. And they're trying to diminish what Indiana has done this year. And what they've done is incredible. Okay. Indiana sits here at 10-0. This is the first time I believe they've ever won 10 games in a season. Kurt Cignetti, year one, brings in all these transfers with him from JMU. Curtis Rourke, the quarterback, has been fantastic all year long. He's probably one of those little outside-the-box Heisman candidates at the moment. And here they are sitting ranked as the number 5 team in the nation. And rather than celebrating this, it's like people are just waiting for Indiana to slip up because that's what we do to the little guy, right? We're just waiting for them to slip up at some point. And Indiana has not done it to this point. And they're going to point to the schedule. Their out-of-conference schedule this year was FIU, Western Illinois, and Charlotte, okay? And I'm not here to defend that. I'm not here to defend that whatsoever. But what I am here to defend is that you can only play what your schedule is. And there were some games on this schedule coming into the season that looked like they were going to be, big-time matchups for Indiana, like Michigan, like Washington, the 2 teams that played in the national championship last year. But who was going to know that Kalen DeBoer takes off and goes to Alabama after Nick Saban retired? Who knew that Jim Harbaugh, and I guess we probably knew that was going to happen, wins a national championship and goes back to the NFL? And so now the 2 marquee games on your schedule aren't as marquee as they were before, but you still have Ohio State, right? But my point is, like, you can only play who's in front of you. And if that's your schedule, the Marylands of the world, the Northwesterns of the world, the Michigan States of the world, if that's your schedule, then go out there and try to beat these teams by as much as you can. And look at what they've done. 42-13 to UCLA, 52-14 to Charlotte, 42-28 Maryland, 41-24 to Northwestern, 56-7 against Nebraska, 31-17 Washington, 47-10 Michigan State. And then, of course, they had the close scare a little bit against Michigan with a 2015 victory. And I know Michigan hasn't played well this year, but they still have a pretty good defense with a lot of guys who are going to be going into the NFL. But everybody is trying to take that away from Indiana, and they're trying to prop up these 2-loss SEC teams that should be ranked over Indiana at the moment. And they're talking about Bama, they're talking about Ole Miss, Georgia, and Tennessee, and they're citing the strength of schedule nonsense and everything. Like, you can only play who's on your schedule, and Indiana has wiped away just about everybody they've played on their schedule, but people are waiting for them to slip up. And I'm hearing this narrative of, if Indiana loses this weekend in Ohio State, then they're out. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How in the world would an 11-1 Indiana, with their only loss coming to the number 2 team in the nation, Ohio State, how would that doom them in the college football playoff? How would that take them out? I just don't understand that. Especially when we know that the 2 big conferences in college football are the SEC and the Big Ten. This is a Big Ten team that would have gone 11-1, and you're trying to tell me that they would not deserve to be in the college football playoff? What you're doing here, it's brand bias is what it is. It's brand bias because it's Indiana. Just call it like it is. It's because it's Indiana. I don't hear people saying this about Penn State, who hasn't played anybody and has a loss on their resume to the only big team they played, and that was Ohio State. I don't hear anybody saying this about Texas. And by the way, Texas is a great point to compare them to Indiana, because if you go look at Texas's schedule, Texas already has the loss, a double-digit loss, by the way, a double-digit loss to Georgia at home. And when you look at Texas's schedule outside of that, who have they played? Their best win is a 3-point victory against Vanderbilt. Okay? And Vanderbilt's a nice story, but come on. A 3-point victory against Vanderbilt is their best win. What's the next best win? A 20-10 win against Arkansas? We want to count 31-12 against Michigan earlier in the season, sure, on the road. I mean, if Texas loses to, if you want to keep that argument up, if Texas loses to Texas A&M in rivalry week next week, shouldn't Texas be out too? Like, that's my only thing. I'm just asking for consistency here. But it seems to me there's just a lot of big brand bias that's going on. And everybody is saying it about Indiana, but they're seemingly turning a blind eye to the fact that Texas really has not much of a resume. And yet here they are sitting at number 3. And they're probably safe no matter what happens in that game against Texas A&M. And that's why people continue to call this thing an invitational. It's not a playoff. It's an invitational, and they choose to do what they want to do when they want to do it, and that's it. So we'll see what happens. But I'm a little irritated by some of those happenings in college football. And then for what it's worth, the schedule this week, we had a lot of the Florida teams were off this past weekend, and probably best when they all went 0-11 the year or the week prior. Like, I think we were okay, everybody taking a week off and sort of rebooting. But this weekend they're back at it. Miami is going to host Wake Forest at noon. Miami is obviously coming off the loss to Georgia Tech a couple weeks ago, but Wake Forest is just not a good football team, so they should be okay there. But one of the biggest games of the weekend, actually, that I'm going to be really tuned into is what's going on with Florida. Florida is going to be hosting Ole Miss at noon. I wish this game was at night because even though I'm not a Florida fan, I respect the hell out of that place, and it is one of my favorite places to watch a college. It might be my favorite place to watch a college football game at night, to be honest with you. So I wish this game was at night, but it's at noon. And listen, Ole Miss has one of the best defenses in the country. They have one of the best defensive lines in the country. That's not going to be disputed. And you saw how Georgia just straight up could not handle them, and that's a big deal. But Florida, man, Florida coming off a big win against LSU, to be 5-5. Listen, they're gonna at least get that 6th win against Florida State. We know that, but can Florida compete against Ole Miss? Can Florida compete against Ole Miss at home? Ole Miss is a 10-point favorite. We know Ole Miss, they have to win because if they win, they're probably going to be knocked out, I would think, of college football playoff contention. So it's a big game for them, but it's still a big game for Florida, who, by the way, if you've been paying attention, ever since Billy Napier got the vote of confidence from Florida's administration, Scott Strickland, and et cetera, ever since he got that vote of confidence public that he was going to return as the head coach, Florida not only has picked up the win against LSU, where DJ Lagway was very exciting, and obviously the true freshman running back Jaden Ball showed that he's going to have a hell of a future here. Florida on the recruiting trail is absolutely killing it. Like, they were struggling throughout much of the season, and we knew that had a lot to do with Billy, the uncertainty of if he was going to be the head coach or not, and obviously the on-field play was not helping. But Florida is starting to pick up some steam, and over at On3, there's 6 top prospects, 4-star prospects, or 3 of them are 5 stars rather. Daeem Mofford, who is currently committed to Ohio State, he's a 5-star corner. Solomon Thomas, a 5-star inside offensive lineman, he's currently committed to Florida State. And then a 5-star wide receiver, Dallas Wilson, who's currently committed to Oregon. Florida is trying to flip all these guys. Florida's going for it. So they have created some real momentum for themselves on the recruiting trail here in the last few weeks. And it seems like as we get closer to early signing day, Florida is trying to pull off some miraculous stuff here. So if you're a Florida fan, I mean, the best you were probably hoping for is bowl eligibility this year with the schedule. It looks like, barring anything crazy, that's going to happen. And you have a chance to win 7 games, 8 games, whatever it is, and that'd be great. But again, you're also doing really well on the recruiting trail, which can't be said about every Florida school because Florida State is not killing it on the recruiting trail. They're actually losing everybody, if you've been paying attention. And Florida's taking some of those guys. And yeah. All right, I'm going to take another break here. And when we come back, we're going to play a little bit more of the Hagen interview yesterday for those who, in case you missed it. There were some very important developments in there. I know that's what a lot of people have been so zeroed in on. So for y'all. And we're going to finish up here on a Thursday. Again, thank you to all of our great sponsors. And we'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Hey Tampa Bay sports fans, this is 2-time LPGA Major Champion Jane Geddes here. After winning the US Open and 10 other LPGA events, I wanted to try something completely different. So I came right off the top turnbuckle and landed in the crazy world of WWE. And yes, you heard that right. That's WWE. Working for the Vince McMahon as the VP of Talent Relations for the company. Now, though, I want to work for you. Everything I've done in my life, I've done with incredible passion. And now I've turned my focus to leading the best real estate team in Tampa Bay, the Gettys Gordon Group with Keller Williams in South Tampa. If you're looking for a new home, an investment property, or looking to sell your current home, we will give you major championship level service. When you choose Gettys Gordon Group, you become part of our inner circle, like family. So if you're looking for a few golf tips or a golf course view, we're going to stripe it right down the fairway. Call me at 813-485-6808 or go to gettysgordongroup.com, or again, give me a ring at 813-485-6808.
Getting old is inevitable, but feeling and looking old is avoidable. If you're feeling run down, your workout sucks, or your sexual libido is not what it used to be, check out Bay Area Modern Medical Center. That happened to me a few years ago, and I found out I had the testosterone level of a second-grade girl. That's not good. Our food, environment, and stress can cause your T levels to drop. Bay Area Modern Medical Center can help, and they are different. They offer customized hormone replacement for both men and women. Christopher Lugo and his medical staff can help you restore your energy, your sex drive, and your feelings of well-being. It was a total game changer for me. I have way more energy, lost 30 pounds, and I'm performing better in all areas of my life. Nobody wants to talk about sexual health, but it's key to a balanced life. We offer discreet treatments with real-world results. So if you're suffering from a lack of interest in sex, ED, or lack of sexual stamina, Dr. Lugo and his staff can help. Take your health care to the next level at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, 844-977-3477 or BAMMC.com. Hey, JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. There's been a lot of talk about lab-grown diamonds. Oh, they're just like the real thing. No, they're not. They're not the real thing. They're lab-grown. They're fake. You want to give your honey a fake diamond? Not a good way to start off the relationship, folks. Take my word for it. Get the real thing, and no place better to shop than the Gold and Diamond Source. And remember, if you shop anywhere else, you don't know if it's real. You don't know what you're buying. The Gold and Diamond Source has been in business for over 40 years. Julie and Steve Weintraub, great benefactors in our community. You know it's real. It's the only place to shop. And if you're planning to purchase for the holidays, don't forget to take advantage of our layaway offer at the Gold and Diamond Source. You can reserve your favorite piece now and pay in easy installments, making your holiday shopping stress-free. As always, we offer up to 5 years interest-free financing for just $84 a month when you finance $5,000. It's the only place to shop for the holidays. It's the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go!
Right now.
Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back here on a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Nick Getty's flying solo here as JP has had to cut out early today to go on a little vacation. For those of you who weren't on earlier, mentioned it coming out of break. We're actually going to play a little bit of the Ken Hagen interview yesterday because it got a lot of play all over, and there's a lot of really important stuff there, obviously, that JP and him discussed. And it actually made it on the news this morning. I was watching Fox News as I do every morning, and it actually happened to pop up, and then I saw they posted an article later. So absolutely thanks to that. But without further ado, I'm going to pop it up here, and we'll listen to a little bit of here for some of this great information that came out of it.
Wednesday. We thank you guys so much for joining us. We thank all of our sponsors, Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, the Golden Diamond Source, the Gettys Gordon Group for all your real estate needs, thirdgenerationplumbing.com. John Rodriguez, longtime baseball fan here in Tampa Bay. He would love to see that Tampa Stadium. And Cafe Paradiso, our good friend Palatini, he too would love to see.
Palatini.
Yeah, Palatini. I bet our good friend Ken Hagen from the Hillsborough County Commission has been to Cafe Paradiso once or twice. Hopefully he's on the line. Ken, you there?
He's ready to go.
What's up, Ken?
Yes, sir.
How are you, my friend?
Yes, sir. I'm doing well, buddy. How you been?
Oh, man, up in it, man. I got to first say one thing, because you've been in politics for a long, long time. And I sat through a full commission meeting yesterday for the first time. And good Lord, my man, you don't get paid enough. How the hell do you sit through those things and all the public comments? Whatever they're paying you, it ain't enough. That's crazy stuff.
That's an understatement. Certainly requires a lot of patience and a lot of alcoholic beverages, if you will. Kind of gets you.
I'll drink to that.
All right. So first question, the first, is Tampa back in? Is Tampa available for business?
Well, certainly that's my desire. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been laying the groundwork with our team. So when that time comes, I don't know if that's going to be today, tomorrow, or 6 months from now, but we're going to be ready. We're having a meeting tomorrow with all of our partners, Mayor Castor, Eric Hart, the Sports Authority, County Administrator, and just to make sure that we're all on the same team. We're all, reading from the same hymn, if you will. And so I'm ready for that day. But again, right now, I do need to stress our primary focus right now is to ensure a seamless transition from Tropicana Field to Steinbrenner Field this season, working very closely with the New York Yankees, with the Rays, and with Major League Baseball to make sure that, again, that's a smooth transition, not only for the team, but more importantly for our fans. And I do want to give a shout out and a thanks to Hal Steinbrenner, Tony Bruno, and the entire Yankee organization, because if it were not for them, they would not be playing in Tampa this year. And so while Hillsborough County owns Steinbrenner Field, it's ultimately their decision. And they've been wonderful partners. And so I do want to thank them. But without a doubt, that's our primary focus right now. And a lot of work's going to end up going into that, particularly with the Sports Authority, with Eric Hart and his team. We're going to help out with operations and do everything we can to make this a seamless transition, to make it a successful season. I believe it'll sell out every game, and it's going to be a wonderful experience. So that's what we're focusing on now. But when the time comes, we're going to be ready, and we're going to be respectful of the process. We're going to let things play out over in Pinellas and St. Pete, and should that opportunity come, we'll be ready.
That's incredible stuff to hear that you guys are so proactive. And I think a lot of people in your constituents are happy to hear that. And I'm going to get back to Steinbrenner in a moment. We'll celebrate what's about to happen there, as I think it's really cool. But I want to get to the primary question that I get all the time. Does Hillsborough have any money? And I've fought this for so long. Everybody, it's a false narrative. I say it's a false narrative that has been promulgated by the Rays and the Times and everybody else. There was no corporate support in Tampa. That's a lie. I was part of that. I know that's not true. That there's no money over here. As you've said many times, there's no upfront money, huge bubble of upfront money that you can take like St. Pete did, but it's a pay-as-you-go type thing and a true public-private partnership where everybody benefits, unlike this terrible deal that they tried to execute in St. Pete and just falling apart. So the question to you is, does Tampa and Hillsborough County, with a willing partner that may not be Sue Sternberg, do you have the ability to make this happen and everybody says with the Bucks maybe knocking on your door in a few years as well?
Well, there's a lot to cover there, but the number one, the devil is in the detail. The devil is in the details, which I've always said. Number two, I've always stated that first and foremost, we're going to protect the taxpayers. We're not going to offer something that it's a raw deal. And in our model, it is creative based. However, it is primarily driven by creating an entertainment district that's fee based by every beer, Coke, hot dog that's purchased. A portion goes toward the ballpark, similar model to Texas Rangers in Arlington. It would include, in all likelihood, creating a CDD where essentially the property owners are taxing themselves to go toward the facility. We'll be using tourist tax dollars that, again, have very limited uses, cannot go toward schools or fire rescue or law enforcement. It has to be toward infrastructure, stadiums or marketing, and then ultimately creating a CRA, a community redevelopment area, where, again, those funds are limited to that particular area. And in our model, I guess the answer is we do not have the same upfront dollar capability and capacity as Pinellas. I admit that, always have. Mm-hmm. However, the offer that we made last year provided significantly more money than the offer in St. Pete. However, it did not include the same upfront money because, first and foremost, we're protecting the taxpayers, and it's you use the term pay-as-you-go, which is accurate. I like to use the term but for the development, we will not have the revenue streams. However, all the financial and economists that have been working on this model agree that when the ballpark is developed, the development is going to occur around it. It requires the team to put in more money up front and assume more of the risk on the front end.
Right.
But long term, they're going to make a hell of a lot more money. And so you have to have a willing and financially able partner to go with that model. And for whatever reason, both in 2019 and again last year, they essentially took their ball and went home and decided toward the St. Pete model, although by their own admission, they would earn significantly more money and be much more sustainable and profitable in Tampa in the long term.
Well, that's a great answer. So the answer is yes, you do have the money and the model that has worked in other places. And I think that's what's important here. It worked in Atlanta. It worked in Arlington. My co-host here, Tim, we've talked about this. It worked, right, Tim? And because there was a willing owner.
Yes, because there was a willing owner, and both teams, or both parties, the city, the county, and the owner of the organization, whether it was Jerry Jones or Ray Davis with the Rangers, were able to come to an agreement, and it was sensible for both parties, and it worked. And it didn't take all of this back and forth and all of the what we have going on in Tampa right now. And as an outsider, not living there, it's honestly a little maddening. I'll be honest.
Well, it doesn't. It certainly doesn't need to take 14 plus years.
No.
And I spent several years ago, I had the opportunity to spend a day with the Braves CEO and toured not only the ballpark but the Battery, and it was briefed on the entire process. And in a nutshell, they brokered that deal in 2 months.
Yep.
And 2.5 years later, they were playing ball. They tripled their tax base. You see the incredible development that, again, that occurred, but for or only because of the ballpark.
Yeah.
It's a similar model, but the team came forward with their money up front. Let's make this deal work. And they had a sense of urgency. And for most of the 14 years, up until the last several years, that they really didn't share that sense of urgency to get something done. Now they do, without question. But if they would have had that same intensity and that same sense of urgency years ago, they'd already be playing in Ybor City.
That's right. And everybody would be making money, and this would be a wonderful, wonderful situation. I don't think that's a point that needs to be just thrown under the rug, because all of what we're dealing with now, a stadium that that was well past its time, and there should have been more urgency. And with a responsible owner, in my opinion, they would have said this drop is not going to last. It's, and people could say all they want, like, who could have predicted that a hurricane would blow the roof off? Well, me, anyone with eyes, a fabric roof in Hurricane Alley. I mean, that's 10 years past its lifespan. It's pretty predictable, actually. So it happened, and now they have a lot more urgency, and which has kind of led to a lot of this. But a couple of the procedural questions. The SITS tax just passed again. Is that money usable for this particular project?
Yes, it would be. Now, I will tell you, I mean, we've got some significant, challenges that are coming down the road with respect to Raider J, Amalie Arena. In addition to that, I'm championing two athletic facilities. One that's an indoor facility that would host everything from basketball, volleyball, cheerleading tournaments, and then an outdoor baseball, softball complex that we've got our consultant reports. We set aside some seed money. And so those are projects, one or both, will likely compete for these dollars. And so that's why, candidly, we're somewhat in a time crunch or sense of urgency as well, as we need to know what the needs are going to be, so we can determine the capacity. We know we're going to have significant renovation with Raymond James Stadium. Unfortunately, the Buccaneers have not communicated with us up to this point as far as what they're looking for. So we don't know what that's going to be, but we do know that a renovation is going to be needed in the next several years. We do know if we ever hope to host another Super Bowl, that must happen. The NFL has told Rob Higgins and the Sports Commission that, so we know those needs are coming, and we just have to communicate, number one, with all the teams and know what they're thinking, what they believe the needs are, what their investment's going to be. And that was a big part of the, I will give the Buccaneers credit because I was heavily involved in the last renovation agreement.
Yeah,
they had significant skin in the game.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, they assumed all cost overrides, which were significant, and we improved the revenue sharing for the taxpayer. So that was truly a win-win all the way around. And it's
a willing partner working with you guys to come together for the betterment of the community. Wow, what a concept.
Absolutely. That's going to be paramount. And of course, with that, then we would lock the team in for an additional, 30 plus years. So those are some serious conversations that are going to happen in the upcoming months and years. And so we just need to the best extent we can, to be transparent, to communicate with all the parties and just know what the needs are. And then we can do our best to come up with the creative models to make it all work.
Ken Hagen joining us here, Hillsborough County Commissioner. And Ken, I have spoken to one person in particular that told me, and I vetted him, and I believe this to be true because he has the money. I can't mention his name, that he was trying to buy the Rays a few months ago. Also told me that he didn't believe the St. Pete Stadium would ever be built, and he would want to build in Tampa. I've heard Joe Citro and other people that have been in government say there are groups out there that are wanting to buy this team and build in Tampa. I don't expect to get an answer on this, but I got to ask it. Are you hearing the same things? Is this something, and is there a site in mind?
Well, first of all, the previous location is still available in Ybor City. So let's start with that. That when things started to unravel, that was basically the first phone call I made. Hey, is this still a possibility? Should things work out? And that answer is yes. So that helped. Now, not to say that would be the only location, for potentially others, and we'll see. We'll see.
But you could use the same design. They already worked in the design. They spent all that stuff. The whole thing. Just here we go again.
Yes. Wow. So let's start with that, which is very fortunate. But again, we would likely consider other locations as well. Secondly, I'm aware of a couple of local groups in the past that were mobilized and that made an offer. Without mentioning names or people and things like that. One of them, I will tell you that the feedback from MLB was that they didn't think that they had the juice.
The juice,
in so many words.
Right.
They had, they're very wealthy, but they didn't want to get into a potential situation where you're not making payroll and all that kind of stuff. Right. My gut, my instincts tell me that there is at least one or more groups that's mobilizing from that, as we speak. Now, whether that's from a potential investment standpoint or ownership standpoint, I don't know. Again, I can't say with any certainty or give anyone's name, but I strongly believe that either is taking place now or will take place if things continue to unravel in Pinellas County.
Extremely interesting there. All right, I want to finish up by just talking about what's about to happen in Tampa. And again, this is no disrespect to St. Pete whatsoever. I always look at this as a region. I've never looked at it as Tampa, St. Pete, and others. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up here. I've lived here for almost 30 years. I've lived on both sides of the bay. I just see it as Tampa Bay. But I understand the provincialism. But I want to celebrate the fact that the folks in Hillsborough County have been supporting this Rays team for a long time, going to games and on TV, what have you. And now they're going to get an opportunity to support it with their dollars and their attendance. I spoke with Tino Martinez the other day, who played for the Yankees, played for the Rays, grew up here. No one knows the landscape better, has played in that stadium. He could not be more thrilled. He said those tickets will sell out in a heartbeat. It's going to be nuts. I mean, I'm a little afraid that Stu will price him through the roof and price everybody out, but hopefully that won't be the case. But what's about to happen here, I think, is spectacular. It'll be a packed house every night. It's going to be a vibe. And if a group comes forward and we're moving forward in Tampa, you are going to coalesce for 3 or 4 years in that really cool stadium, by the way, and moving towards something that is going to be in where it should have always been. To me, this is such a great opportunity for the Rays. It's what's always should have happened, and this team can move forward. And I hope, no disrespect, but I hope it's going to be with a new local owner or someone that really, really has Tampa Bay's best interest in mind. I think this could be an absolute bigger than Tino's Grand Slam in the World Series home run. Your thoughts?
Well, first of all, it's going to be a smashing success. I'm 100% to that. I played not recently, in the last few months. I played golf with Tino, and growing up, we competed against each other. And great guy, and I know how strongly he wants the team to be on this side. I was with Fred McGriff just last night, and we were talking about it, and other athletes, Jason Romano, other local MLB stars that have shared similar sentiments. And one thing I do want to say, and I'm going to give the Rays credit, in that it really, I mean, again, from a fan perspective, from elected official in Hillsborough County, I'm thrilled that it's going to be at Steinbrenner Field right here in Tampa. But it really makes the most sense financially for the team. Steinbrenner Field is highest capacity. It's the most MLB ready of Dunedin and Clearwater, which are great ballparks. I go to a couple games a year, spring training games at those facilities. I love going over there. But it really, the Rays are going to get crushed revenue-wise this year. And this alternative gives them the best opportunity to maximize their already reduced revenue stream. So it makes the most sense. And that's why I don't blame some of the commissioners in Pinellas County. I know a lot of people do, but from an elected standpoint, they've got to look out for the taxpayers. They've got priorities. And for new commissioners, they shouldn't be asked to vote on something their very first meeting. I mean, we go through that every cycle with our board on much smaller projects, 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, that a previous board approved, yet a new board comes in and they may have different priorities. So I don't fault them on that, but they made the right decision, and I'm looking forward to it. I think not only for the team, but also for the fans, and it's going to be a smashing success, and we'll see how things play out.
Muted myself. There was Ken Hagen again from yesterday's interview with JP, which got a lot of play. He certainly said some interesting things. I think we learned some things from that. So definitely wanted to bring that back to the forefront today. And again, if you missed the discussion that we had about the Rays in more detail and reacting to that and some other developments, please watch the first 30 minutes of the show where JP was on, and we sort of went back and forth with our thoughts on that. But with that being said, that'll do it for us today. On this Thursday, and Tim's going to be back in tomorrow filling in for JP, and JP, even though he went on his little vacation, he is scheduled to be back hopefully on Monday, and I'll be there with you, and hopefully we'll be breaking down a Buccaneer victory. Hopefully we'll be breaking down some Lightning, who, by the way, back at it again tonight against Columbus, so definitely be tuning into that. But with that being said, everybody, have a great few days. Have a great weekend. It's beautiful in Tampa Bay, so please enjoy that. And I will see you all on Monday. Thank you.